Hi.
Hey.
We just had the opportunity to talk to Bo today. A really, really cool conversation. Dropped a song with us. What'd you guys like?
Yeah, I mean, I knew he was going to be a great dude to talk to because he's very open, and he just wants to share stories because I think he sees eye to eye with me that it's going to help people. So I thought he was just so generous with his story.
Yeah, I just really appreciate all the stories that Bo shared with us. They were all very personal, including the song.
Yeah.
I think you're going to get a lot out of this episode. Take a listen, and we will have Bo back in the studio very soon with us. Check it out.
Bo knows.
They have like different times.
How do you know so much about border medicine?
Because I listen to K-Fan.
Oh, you listen to shows that are intended for older men?
No. It's demographic 18 to 45.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, number one in the country.
Oh.
Wow, all right.
Wow, okay.
I love those guys. I wish I
Get
could
off
beat
those
those
dudes
guys.
nuts a little bit, okay?
No, I can't. They have too many blue chew balls.
I'm going to get started. Oh, no.
Are you ready? Maybe that's the question we should ask. Are you ready to do this?
Turn the volume up.
Okay, thanks.
Who turned it down in this room?
I don't know.
I mean, that's your
Was it
seat.
You jack.
That's your seat, so.
Yeah. You're the producer. You're on the show.
Welcome to the Quality Under Pressure podcast. My name is Min. This is a podcast that reminds people that a conversation is still a beautiful thing. Welcome, Dean and Dawson. How y'all doing?
Great.
Hey, doing well.
You guys pretty stoked for this guest that we have today?
Yeah. I
Of
think
course.
it's be really cool.
Yeah. Well, it's my friend Bo. He is a musician, just a generally interesting dude, and a good dude. I forget how we met though. I feel bad saying that.
Well, we met because I was trying to find people who I could look to for furthering my music out there to others. You know, so what I was like reading a whole bunch of articles and books on how to be successful as a musician, and one of the things that they said was establish relationships with people that are in the community of the industry that you want to be in.
Yeah.
So my first thought was like, okay, I got to hit up all of the DJs
Yep.
and take them out for coffee.
Yeah.
And you happen to be one of them.
Yeah.
And what was so great about it is it didn't end. It didn't even start with like a business relationship. It started right off the bat as like a true friendship.
Yeah.
And it's just been really awesome since.
That's why it was like blurry to me, because a lot of times the people that I meet through my work, like I know like this is where we met and this is what we talked about. And it's like you said, that business spin on it. That's why it was blurry to me. Like, when did I meet you? Because I know it was through my work, but I was wondering, did we have like a relationship before that?
No, we didn't. I think I added you on Facebook,
Okay.
and then we started talking a little bit about music, and then you brought up some pop punk bands, and we connected on that because
Cool.
we both came from that background. And then we grabbed some coffee one time at a coffee shop, and I remember I don't think we even talked about my music at all. I didn't even bring it up. We were just lost in conversation. You were asking a lot of questions about like how many sisters I had, or like how like my family, and like all these deep questions that I was like, wow, this guy is just like the conversations that I want to have with others.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people I think are I don't know,
What do you want?
well, I think it's they do a lot of small talk that doesn't necessarily lead anywhere.
Yeah.
When you're first trying to meet someone or feel everyone out. But you do it in a way where it's meaningful, and I really admire that about you.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
Yeah, you bet. And I think it's been a point that I've been trying to do for myself is just only start with meaningful conversations. A lot of times it makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So you kind of have to choose, like you gotta feel them out a little bit before you like move further into that. But
I mean, I'm just thinking, if I'm gonna spend, like, if how intentional we went to a coffee shop. If I'm gonna spend an hour with this person anyways, like, man, let me learn something about this person, because who knows what it could turn into. I could discover this is a bad person. I don't ever want to be around this person ever again. But you could be inspired. Like, you could maybe create something together. So I'm just like, no, that's time well spent. It's honestly my favorite thing to do, is like when people are like, what's your favorite hobby? I usually just default to like, I love like grabbing coffee or like food with people and having a real conversation. Put your smartphone away. Let's talk for like 2 hours.
And don't misunderstand that for just I don't know what I'm trying to say. Don't look at that as if it's not a skill, because it absolutely is. It's a talent. A friend of mine actually reached out to me one time, and he was like, "Hey, can I ask you something? How are you so intrigued and interested in other people?"
Yeah.
Because he's like, "I feel like a bad person that I honestly just don't care to listen to other people or learn more about them." And I mean, that's how relationships like cultivate. That's how you cultivate your connections and networking and ultimately like your career at the end of the day. Like it's all about who you know. And
absolutely.
So it's like, but if it's a forced thing, you're not going to be as successful as if it's natural to you. So we have this innate ability to just be interested in others. And I used to take it for granted, and I hope you don't, because I've learned to accept it and embrace it.
Yeah. A lot of times where I trip up on things is like, I just want the other person to feel comfortable so badly. And so if that's not happening, then I start getting worried about myself. Like, oh, what can I do? What can I do? So, I mean, I'm glad that you define it as like the skill set and you think it's important, because I do too. I just feel lucky that I'm just naturally I just want to know people. It's just like we're sharing the same space together. We're on this planet at the same time. Like, how lucky are we to be able to share this time together?
Totally.
Yeah.
And the thing that's amazing about it is that like everyone's a book or a movie, because they all have had their own experience. They've all come from different walks of life. And I just find everyone's got at least one story that's going to change the way I think, my perspective. And if I don't give them that opportunity to change my life, like, am I just going to continue being the same person I've always been?
Yep.
Like, that's not what we're here for. We're here to change and learn and grow.
I love that. That's why I was just like, this dude's going to be a baller guest. And then you have a lot of but one thing that is different about us is you're a lot more adventurous than I am. So we should get into those stories too. Cool?
I don't know about that, but I'm down to talk about it.
All right. We start our guests with a lightning round. And so Dawson's going to toss some questions, some questions your way. Okay. I thought I was having bad English there, but I said it right. Go.
Good work. All right, Bo. Prepare yourself. These are some heavy hitters, okay?
Okay.
All right. Don't mess with my volume.
Okay, dude. Why do you want it so loud?
Because it makes me get more excited. All right. Anyways. All right, Bo. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
That's right. We haven't had a cat person yet.
Yeah.
That's how we know
wrong. It's the wrong answer.
What's your favorite food?
I would say lasagna or Alfredo.
All right, pastas.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you have a high school celebrity crush?
High school celebrity crush. Man, I would probably say the girl from that 70s show.
Mila
Nice.
Kunis?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, for
She's
sure.
cool.
Yeah. Min was a big Jessica Alba guy.
Is this my lightning round?
Well, I'm just throwing facts. Hot dogs or hamburgers?
Neither.
Oof.
I'm a vegetarian.
Oh.
There you go.
But it could be veggie dogs or
Okay,
veggie
yeah.
burgers?
I mean, I guess there are some really awesome black bean burgers that I've had throughout some various restaurants and stuff. They're fantastic, but also good Field Roast. That's a brand that they make like Italian sausage, like vegan. Check those out.
Have you had the Impossible Burger?
Yeah,
I
was
have.
just gonna ask
I have,
that.
and it's creepily too close to being meat.
Yeah.
I was like, are you sure that this is? I think they messed up my order because this is meat.
Because it like
Wow.
bleeds, right?
Well,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the flavor is just too close to a dead body. Like,
Wow.
you know,
Ooh,
like.
how would you know that?
Well, I've spent 25 of my years eating cows. So.
Oh man, we should definitely loop back to your being a vegetarian.
For sure. What's the next question? Sorry.
Next question. What's your favorite movie?
Oh, favorite movie is probably 300 or Law Abiding Citizen. Anything with
Gerard Butler.
Yeah, Gerard Butler. He's the man.
Nice.
Awesome. Good actor. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Boy, that's the question that is everywhere, but I never have an answer for it. Any superpower? I think my superpower would be probably the ability to enlighten people.
Wow.
Nice.
Because we're having right now in our society, there's such an epidemic of like, this music is screwing with me.
It's an adventure.
Yeah. It's such an epidemic of like, lack of education on like the things that truly matter.
Yeah.
Like we're all stuck in this just like rat race and just like repetition of cycle. And if I had the ability to like wake people up, that would be life changing for the
That's
for
dope.
everyone.
There's a couple of themes in there that we've talked about on past episodes, just like that repetition in our career episode, and then just our last episode with Allie, just that encoding, decoding. Like, can I get a message? Can I actually get a message across?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's a really good answer. Now, besides this podcast, do you have a favorite?
I would say I don't listen to this podcast, but I can.
What?
You're gonna have to scratch that. Edit that out.
No, not this one. The one I'm about to talk about.
Oh,
okay.
But I'd say Gary Vaynerchuk. Anything that he produces is gold. Like there's very little garbage that you have to sift through in order to get the message. He is very like boom, 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 no messing around. Everything he says is pure, like just pure value coming out. And so his podcast, I would say, is number one.
You concur?
I'm a big Gary V fan.
Good.
I like
awesome.
him. He was just on an episode of the Corp.
Oh, really?
It's a Barstool Sports podcast.
Nice.
With Alex Rodriguez, former baseball player. And they interview him, and it was a really, really good episode.
I bet.
Okay. This is kind of a loaded question. Favorite band or musician?
Hey.
Man, favorite band or musician? I would say Empire of the Sun. I love those guys very much. Their sound is very dreamy and makes me feel inspired. Basically anything that has that like Fox 80s vibe that people have been trying to capture the last few years.
Yeah.
It's very nostalgic. Anything that makes me feel, good inside, I would say.
Awesome. Good stuff. Are you afraid of public restrooms?
I wouldn't say afraid, but people do make fun of me if they notice that I pull my sleeve down to grab the handle of the door when I leave.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely try to avoid touching anything that would give me any sort of disease or sickness.
Yeah, sure.
I think if I were to ever run for political office, my big thing would be feet openers, openers in bathrooms. Everyone's gonna get them.
Wow.
Have you
Vote
guys
for me?
Have you guys have you guys heard of the term making a nest, building a nest?
I've heard that.
Yeah,
but I don't know why. I don't know what that means.
My cousin mentioned that when he was using a public bathroom. He said that he built a nest, meaning you take a lot of toilet paper and you lay it all over the toilet seat.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to touch anything. I've also heard that women do a thing called squatting,
Yes.
which is that's got to be you got to have some muscles for that, I guess. I don't know.
It's hard. It seems hard, right?
Yeah.
Literally.
Yes.
So they squat on.
They hover, right?
Yeah.
Or hovering. Sorry, hovering. That's Good.
Yeah.
I mean, props to them.
I guess it'd be easier on a Western toilet to hover above a seat. Because Dean and I, we've been to Asia plenty of times, and we talk about like how we have to poop into a hole in the ground.
Yeah, literally.
It's super hard.
Yeah.
Difficult.
Explain that some more.
It's like there's
no toilet. It's
no
just
toilet,
a hole cut out in the ground.
Yeah. It's just the bowl.
You have
just
porcelain holes, right?
Yeah. It's porcelain, and it's just built into the floor.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're squatting, but the first time I did it was like I pulled my pants down and my underwear was acting as a safety net. So I'm like, I can't poop into my underwear.
The easiest way I can recognize that is I've seen Slumdog Millionaire a couple times, and they kick off in there.
Who wants to be a millionaire?
Who wants to be a millionaire? Anyways, favorite sport? We're almost done with these lightning rounds.
Yeah, my favorite sport is basketball.
Ooh. Dope.
Yeah,
right.
Min and I, we've also you too.
Yeah.
We shot some hoops. Yeah.
Damn right.
And I'll end on what is one place you'd love to visit?
One place I'd like to visit. That's tricky. I would say anywhere outside of America, just to get an understanding of like what. I don't know. It's really tough because there's so many places I haven't been.
Yeah.
I would say maybe like Europe, anywhere in Europe, Germany, since we have our families from that area.
Cool.
Switzerland. I liked this page on Facebook that's like bucket list travels, and they always show like amazing footage or amazing pictures. And so I have this list of like, I want to go there and there and there.
Yeah.
Take me anywhere, man.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. I also during that speed round, it occurred to me that all of a sudden you've become the most cultured host on the show.
Yeah.
Kind of pisses me off.
It makes you mad, doesn't it?
Kind of pisses me off.
Because I know more about stuff than you like.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I'm not smart, but I know things.
You have breadth, but you don't have depth.
That's right. I'm I'm a mile wide
Damn.
and an inch deep.
Inch deep, mile wide, man.
Yeah. But you a smart dude, man. How you know about everything?
I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Okay. Nice. During your drive, right?
Oh yeah, I spend so much. I spend probably as much time in the car in a year as some people do.
That's gross.
10 years.
That's gross.
So,
before we get into your topic of the day, can we talk about how you're a vegetarian? You're not a vegan?
No.
Were you at one point?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm making steps towards vegan.
Yeah.
However, it can be tricky. And I think just due to sheer laziness. That ultimately, if I'm being honest with myself, that's probably the reason why I haven't gone full on.
Yeah.
Just because it does take a lot of effort. It takes effort to be a vegetarian in general.
Yeah.
But if you're going to go the route of taking out like anything that comes from animals, like eggs, sour cream, cheese, those things, that takes another, additional dedication. But this is the turning point for me when I took off sour cream and cheese from my Chipotle burrito. So I don't do that anymore. I drink almond milk, so that's another good thing. But the eggs are still something that I eat. And my justification is that all eggs aren't fertilized. Yeah, they can't turn. They all can't turn into chickens, and there's no harm. It's tough because I want to get my stuff from local farms, so I know that there's no like harm being done.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing that I have to take out yet is eggs.
Okay. So cheese and sour cream just at Chipotle, or no cheese at all anymore?
No, I don't actively buy dairy products.
Cool.
However, if I go to a wedding and they put a salad in front of me and there's cheese on top, I'm not going to be that dick who's like,
excuse me.
Yeah, I'm just going to eat it and I'll be like, whatever. Once a month is fine. Right?
Yeah. Was cheese, because you're from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And from like a small farming community.
Yeah.
Was that hard to get rid of cheese?
It was, and it was gradual. Okay. Just for you guys, I grew up on a dairy farm in rural Wisconsin. So 25 of my years, majority of my life, I was eating meat 3 times a day. I was drinking a full glass of milk, not even just milk, but like milk straight from the bulk tank that we got from our farm. So like when we sold our cows and we switched to whole milk, we started buying it from the store.
Wow.
It was like water.
Yeah. Even whole milk.
Because our milk that was so thick, and that's what I was used to, right? So I was indulging big time on dairy products and meat products up until when I decided not to. But yeah, it's tough because I don't know. We could go in a lot of different ways with this, but essentially, the reason for it is because you just have to educate yourself, and then if you believe in something, then you have to make your actions match your beliefs.
Yep.
And that's kind of like where then you have to just make a choice. Like, I know the information I have. Am I gonna follow through with this, or am I just gonna pretend like I don't know what I just saw?
I remember when I was younger, I would always criticize people that had that disconnect. Like, why are you saying this but not actually doing it? And then like as I get older, I realize like, damn, I do that so many times. And so I try not to be so critical about it because it's just like, I know it's hard. Like that happens to me where I'm like, I think climate change is a real thing. And I want to work hard on like recycling and then like being more fuel efficient or whatever. But it's hard, dude. You can't do everything.
Yeah. And I think about that too. And there's people out there, like, by the way, when you're doing something that is alternative, that is going against the grain of society, people are going to shit on you.
Yeah, right.
I get so much hate from a lot of people, maybe not a lot of people, but specific people in my life.
Okay.
Like my sister's husband, who's like a all big hunter dude that's like always got a gun on his hip and has like 50-pound rice bags in his basement for the Holocaust. Whatever is going to happen. Holocaust 2.0 or something. I don't know. But so there are those types of people who just, I make them feel uncomfortable, or I make them feel like I think I'm better than them or something like that. I think that's what it comes down to. And you just gotta ignore that, But I'm getting off track. What did you say?
It's just hard. Before where I was critical of people.
That's what
now I've
say.
softened up and I'm just like,
Absolutely.
I get that you believe this, but your actions don't back it up. and it's just like I sympathize with them now.
Yeah, true. That is exactly what I was going to comment on. Yes, I think it's really important to know that we all have our shortcomings. We all say we want to do things and we don't, even though that's like, I don't know where I was going with that. But I should tell you that, when I do make vegetarian meals at work in the break room, people come in, and they're like, oh, what do you got today? And I told them, oh, it smells good, da da da. And I'm like, oh, you want to try some? Like,
yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, what do you got? They're like, oh, like chicken breast and like this and whatever. And I was like, oh, that smells great. Like, I'm not gonna like condemn them. Yeah, because that's not how you bring people closer to like understanding your life.
Yeah. And
I understand people say, oh, I could never do that. I could never be a vegetarian. And I said, you know what? I said the same thing.
Yeah.
Eventually, ultimately, it's all about going in it with someone else.
Yeah.
Like, because doing something alone and being like so dedicated by yourself is tough, because you have your mind kind of goes different ways, and if you have that accountability partner in anything in life, like you are 100 times more successful.
Yeah. No, I love that. I've since taking econ in grad school, I've been thinking more and more about applying more and more marginal benefit, that whole concept. So it's just like before, where I was like absolutism, where like it's if I believe in this and I don't do all of it, I've failed. It's like I try not to think about things that way anymore. It's just like, well, there are these 10 things you can do. If I do these 2 things, it generates the most benefit. I could do 5 things that, let's say, scores me 50 points, or I could do 2 things that score me 80 points. Even if I don't do all 10 things, let's do what the most I can do with the energy and time that I have. So I'll do those 2 things. Like, try to think of it in like that empirical sense. Like, do those 2 things because that's what brings the most benefit. And so, like, don't judge people because they're not doing all 10 things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Should we get into topic of the day?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys had more. I feel like you would have had some opinions on this dude can't eat vegetables.
Sorry,
it's not that he can't, but
yeah, no, I'm a very meatitarian. So yeah, that's kind of what I go off.
Yeah.
So Bo, when did you switch to being a vegetarian? How recently was that?
It'll be 3 years in August.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Thank you.
Have you noticed your spending habits on groceries and things? Are you spending more money or less money, or about the same as prior to the switch?
Oh, absolutely spending more money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's another thing that you have to, take a grain of salt with, or basically make that decision. Like, is my money worth more than my feelings towards the harm that it's being done for the the whole meat industry? It is tough because it's not fun being broke, right?
Yeah.
But also like your health. It's not just like your compassion towards animals. It's putting your health first. I was very much like 3 Mountain Dews a day, eating Hot Pockets for dinner, those $1 microwave meals, and I was like I was having symptoms that something was wrong, and I didn't know what it was. And everyone was like, oh, even my doctors, I'd go to the doctor all the time. I was like, something's wrong. Yeah. And they're like, have you tried changing your, I was like, no, there's no way that's the issue. Like, test my blood. Like, maybe I have some sort of STD. Like, there's something else going on here. And they were like, dude, your levels, everything's fine. You know? And so finally I decided, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to take pop out. And when I took that out of my diet, I just got considerably, like, my symptoms started to fade. And then, my mom passing away, which is one thing that I'd like to expand on more, but that was the biggest moment in my life that made me look into, the state of our food and how it affects us. And, that was my biggest need to change for my own personal health.
I like the doctor story too. I've been thinking more and more about this day and age for like our generation with like the internet and all the information out there, how useless doctors have kind of become. And so like even when I injured my wrist, I don't know if you have a story you could share about your shoulder, Dean, but when I injured my wrist, I went to go see a doctor and he was just like, oh, it's tendonitis, it's sprained. And then that was it. He was like, do you want to see a physical therapist? My physical therapist helped me so much more, like teaching me exercises and like sort of like having me be accountable and things like that. The doctor didn't tell me anything I didn't know.
Yeah, and so I had recently hurt my left shoulder. It's difficult to move or even lay on it, and so I had gone to the doctor, and it was an inflamed rotator cuff, and told me to take ibuprofen, rest, and maybe do some stretching exercises. And I thought it was helpful though, because it kind of just, confirmed for me that it wasn't anything worse than just an inflammation. Yeah.
Definitely, I got that sense too. Like, okay, like now, what I think is confirmed. But that's why it took me so long to even go to the clinic. I'm just like, I know what it is. But just like, it just didn't get better. So I'm like, well, maybe I'm wrong. And so, I got it confirmed. But I don't know, man. It's tough. It's just like, I hear people say all the time too, like, I don't want to go to the hospital. Like, why do I need to go to the hospital? It's just like.
So I'm a big fan of like the online doctor now.
Yeah.
Because I can just go on and I know I've had enough sinus infections in my life. I know this is what it is.
Yeah.
I just go on the little machine and tell them my symptoms, and then all of a sudden, a half an hour later, I've got a prescription.
I mean, you just never know sometimes. Maybe, it's a nagging pain somewhere, and you go to the doctor, and it turns out to be cancer.
Yeah.
It's just good to see a professional. And we have insurance, so.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I have insurance, too, through my work, and it's good, but, I guess it depends on the coverage plan that you select, but I went to the doctor, and I got a $450 bill in the mail, and it's like, okay, well, why? What is the point? Like, that's why people aren't going to the doctor. Because we can literally Google our symptoms, or even go online for an online doctor, and it's just it's such a big sham right now. Like,
it is.
The fact that we weren't doing online doctors 10 years ago, because like that's like that industry is so far behind in every aspect.
Yeah.
Aside from the DMV, it's like, come on, guys, like, let's get going.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, people don't want to go because it's just like, again, like that, when you were saying too, like, it's nice to get it confirmed, or like the prevention part about like cancer, like, yeah, you should be able to go check it out, because prevention is cheaper than like trying to remediate something. Yeah. So it's cheaper on all levels, society, for the healthcare. Well, I guess they're trying to make a buck, but even for the person, just health wise, like, it's just so much better to have that ability, but we just don't yet. So
I think this is on my mind a lot, because my experience through doctors, not my own experience, but my mom's, when she was going through ovarian cancer, that battle. She went in for she was just having some symptoms. She went in, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you have a cyst on your ovary. We're 99% sure it's not cancer. You have nothing to worry about. We're just going to do a routine removal. This happens all the time." And she was like, "Okay." She had it removed, and then they tested the cyst just to make sure.
Yeah.
And they called her back, and they're like, "Oh, it's cancer. We're so sorry. We shouldn't have done that. We should have had a cancer surgeon complete remove, all of the cells and stuff that were happening in there."
Yeah.
So, but they couldn't touch her until she healed for 7 weeks. So, so there was 7 weeks of her. All she could think about was the cancer that was spreading, that had been cut into by someone who wasn't a cancer surgeon.
Yeah.
So, and that was ultimately responsible for her death 2.5 years later. So, I have a strong dislike towards the system of hospitals.
Yeah, because I've sort of explained to the co-host, like, your topic of the day is life experiences and how that has shaped you. That's sort of the topic of the day. It's broad, but we can get into different things. But I can't. We can touch on other topics, but I can't see how that topic didn't change the course of your life. And so, there's. It started with the healthcare industry. What other ways has your life completely altered because of that scenario?
I think, before my mom passed away, I was still like an immature human being.
Yeah.
I was very self-centered, very focused on what my needs were, rather than others. My mom was like, she was very, very compassionate, amazing human being. Like, any person I bring home, like any friend or whatever, she would like hug them. That's the first thing she would do. It was just a great big smile. How can she help? What do we need? Just like moms are.
Yeah.
But I think it was really difficult. I want to talk about this because I think there are a lot of people who go into losing a loved one and they don't know what to do next,
Mm-hmm.
because that was very much me.
Mhm.
When she was, so I was focused on like my band at the time. I was in a pop punk band with my best friend. It was the year that we were gonna, we ordered like 5,000 CDs, and we were gonna head towards following Warped Tour, which
Nice.
is like the biggest tour in the nation.
Yeah.
And that was, like my mom was, it was on the tail end of what she was dealing with, but I didn't know, because with cancer, like you get better and then you get worse and then you get better and then you get worse. And so I was just accustomed to that of like, oh, she's going to like, be in bed for like a couple days and then she's going to be out in the garden again feeling great like usual.
Yeah.
But this last time, like things just kept getting worse and worse. And I was living with my parents at the time.
Yeah.
And I didn't see the changes. I didn't see the weight loss. I didn't see the drastic differences in her face compared to a picture, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And
you know why?
What's that?
In retrospect, do you know why you weren't able to catch those things?
I think it's just through like seeing the person every day. You don't notice changes.
Yep, absolutely.
But also, I think my brain was subconsciously blocking it out to protect me.
Yeah, yeah.
Just through learning about that stuff, I think that's what was going on.
Sure.
And it's even more apparent too when I started. I've actually felt like I didn't have emotions for her.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was like this disconnect when she was at the worst of it. But I should say, I was really frustrated because my mom had asked me to stay.
Yeah.
Don't go on tour. And I was like, man, we've been waiting to do this thing forever, like 8 years or whatever. And so my friend went without me, so I stayed home.
Yeah.
And, I'm glad that I did, because it was only a few weeks later is when she passed away. But man, what was going through my head is something I don't want anybody to have to go through, because it was ridiculous. Like my mind state was I have to be a success before my mom passes away, so I can show her that I'm not just wasting my life. Because I knew that there was that feeling in the air of like, you don't have a job, you don't have any money, you're living, at the house you grew up in with your parents, and you're in a band. And it was like, so I was in my room, like trying to, be a wingman for my friend who was on tour. What can I do? Any social media stuff? Like da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And, in the meantime, my mom was like dealing with, the last few weeks of her life. And I remember my dad came in.
Yeah.
And he sat down on the bed and he was like, is everything all right? I'm like, yeah, everything's cool. Yeah, I'm just busy, And he's like, well, I just want you to know that, he was just giving me a really heartfelt conversation, and I was trying to act like I was fine, and I was fine until all of a sudden like something hit, and I broke down, and I was like, I just want her to know that this isn't it. I remember saying that.
Yeah.
Saying that this isn't the end of like my success. Like I just need to show her that I am like worthy, and I am like
I'm working
doing
here.
great. Yeah, doing great things. And, he was like, she knows that. She understands, She just wanted me to be there, which I wasn't.
Yeah.
So my focus was on the incorrect spot.
Yeah.
And it's just so funny how our brains like to do that to us.
Because that's the point I wanted to make, too, when you were finished sharing that story. Just the exact point that your dad made was like, like our parents, they don't look at us that way. It's just not like, They want us to become something because it fulfills what we want. It's not for them.
Yeah.
And so it's just like I'm glad that like you came to that realization and things played out the way like you made a lot of good decisions. Like in retrospect, like you could have gone on tour with your friend. Like that was something you guys were working hard towards, and especially if your focus was there's this ticking time bomb. I'm in this pressure cooker. I need to do something now. Like you totally could have done something. You could have went on tour. You could have done it all differently. Mm-hmm. But you made a lot of good decisions.
Yeah, but I think I did that. I made that decision because I had to, and that's not where I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really tough. It was really tough for me to deal with that. And with her passing, comes the stages of grief, which are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and then acceptance.
Yeah.
I sat, denial was, I was dealing with it before she'd even passed away.
Yeah.
And then, anger came next because I focused my anger on my dad because I was like, he treated her like shit. Like that's my mind was like, she didn't deserve, this type of treatment. That's where my anger was going, was him. But then I realized through a lot of like self-reflection that I was no different than my dad. Like the way that my dad treated my mom, I learned from, and that's how I realized I also treated my mom.
Yeah.
Like I didn't really respect her that much, or I didn't give her I was
time, the attention. Yeah.
It's just I was very focused on my own stuff, and she was just there, an afterthought, although she had done literally everything for me in my entire life. And then I realized that's how I was treating my relationships with other women.
Yeah.
And so I was like, holy shit, like this is much deeper than just, like dealing through the loss of a loved one. This is like looking into myself and being like, how can I be a better person on so many different levels?
Yeah. I struggle with that too. I usually, like when I have people and they're talking about like, oh, like I'm a good person, I'm a bad person, this is who I want to be. Like I usually turn to, well, the best barometer for that is look at how you treat your family and your parents, or maybe your closest friends, because those are ultimately the people that you are most yourself around. Like I don't have to hide like farting in front of my parents. It's just like they're gonna get it. They're gonna understand. Or like these dudes. Like I've grown up with these dudes, and so if I'm a piece of shit to my mom and dad, or like my best friends, or like my siblings, then maybe I really am. But if I'm decent towards them, like maybe that's who I really am. So that's sort of the barometer that I use. So I like that, you took that time for introspection, and that's how you were trying to begin to evaluate things. Yeah.
And I think, there was a lot of unhappiness that followed.
Yeah.
Clearly, I'm sure you've experienced your friend passing away, and that was sudden, very different than, my situation, which was a gradual expectation of it happening.
Yeah. It's also your mother though, too. And these guys went through this, we all knew Mitch too. So, Mitch lived with Dean for a couple of years leading up to that. Exactly leading up to it. Yeah.
During.
Wow.
And so, he was our friend in our inner circle too. But like you said, it wasn't easier for us in any way, but it has to be different than losing your mother too.
Yeah, there's an entire life of memories, you know, like of understanding, when you get to the bottom of it, like the person who taught you how to tie your shoes, the person who taught you how to spell your name, like that person is no longer there, and then you have to deal with the regret and the guilt that is just sitting at the bottom of your stomach, because of how you spent the last few months of that person's life, and how you weren't present.
Also, because none of us are good to our parents when we're teenagers, and so the fact that she died so early in your life, like I feel like from now on, because I'm aware of how special our parents and how good they were to us, I can spend the rest of my life paying them back in some way. That's totally not fair for you. That you feel shitty because you're like, I was this teenager. You weren't an unusual teenager. We all do that. Yeah. But you didn't get.
Yeah, and to be clear, I was 25, but I had a teenager mentality.
Yeah, right.
For sure.
Right.
It does suck. I've said, I feel like I've been robbed of having the adult relationship with my mom. Like I would have loved to have that. And I think my sisters both did, because they're older than me, and they're, they were like my mom was their best friend.
Right.
And for me, my mom was still just my mom who was just, would get on my nerves,
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, it's tough, man. But like, the thing is it's the best and worst thing that's ever happened to me. I wouldn't be who I am today. If it wasn't for the things that have happened. And I know through, we can talk about this another time because this might be a little too deep, that she's still here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the biggest thing, is knowing that like just because her physical self is gone, like she is still at work, and it's my duty to continue her legacy through my actions and how I affect other people.
Yeah.
So it's just the people who lose a loved one, they in a sense are the lucky ones because they find their purpose sooner.
Mm-hmm.
They find their passion sooner, and they know what they're here for.
Yeah.
And I think that's just what happened.
Is there a moment where you felt like, well, I was going to phrase it, is there a moment where you felt like you were back to your old self? But we've even discussed it on the show, but one of my favorite life lessons that I got was like when a loved one dies, you never become yourself. You just become like a new version of yourself. So is there a moment where that happened to you where like, okay, like I'm a fully functioning human being again, and this is who I am now?
I think the biggest thing that I came across, I think I was driving, and I like my mind just stopped because I was focusing on all the bullshit in life.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what I got to do, and then this and this thing to do on my to-do list, and all this other crap. And I just stopped, and I was like, wait a second. I'm happy. I'm happy for once, for the first time that I've realized it in the last 5 years. And I was like, holy cow, I never thought that this was going to come back, because I remember, this was still even a year, 2 years in after my mom had passed away, where I'd wake up and I'd go to the bathroom in the morning, and I would just be like standing there, and I would be like, I don't care if I die.
Yeah.
Like I literally am done. I'm so jaded. Like I was in the worst mindset.
Yep.
And being able to say that I'm happy is incredible.
Yeah.
Man, it's like I didn't know that there was any sort of repairing to be done. I thought it was once you have a shitty experience, you just become a shittier person, and the shit just keeps getting on your back until you're eventually... It can.
Yeah.
And that's what I kind of like, that's what I was accustomed to. Like those are the people that were around me, my dad's parents, my dad in general. He just loved to complain and bitch about everything. And so it took a lot of like adjustment and reworking the pathways in my brain to understand that that's not how you find happiness. So yeah, that was really exciting.
And really recent too. And then that's another thing too, when you were sharing the beginning of this story too, I wish I had a chance to compare old Bo and new Bo. I wish I knew you before all of this, because you're saying like, you were saying I'm not the person I am today. I wasn't the same person. And to hear you say like, yeah, my mom was like the person that would invite people in. Like that's the only Bo that I've known, is someone that invites people in and like shows up and like just wants to have a good time and make sure everyone feels comfortable and included. You're the type of person, like if we went to a 20-person gathering, if you saw someone standing alone, you would make an effort to bring them. And so it's weird to hear you weren't always that person. Yeah,
I mean, like I think just through being conditioned in high school, you kind of develop this like every man for themselves.
Yeah.
Like just do what you can not to look stupid.
Yes. Yes.
And like don't expose yourself. Don't be vulnerable to other people because you will get made fun of or whatever.
Yeah.
And I definitely experienced that throughout middle school and high school. And I think just through your brain maturing more as you get older, and also like through the experience with my mom leaving, it's given me a lot of compassion, and also through like the podcasts and the books and the movies that I've seen or documentaries I've seen has given me a great deal of compassion for others, and my search through and understanding my spirituality has given me an understanding that we are all one.
I love that.
We aren't. The ego is, there's no room for ego in this world. So when you understand that, and also, I know what it's like to feel left out.
Yeah. Yes.
And so it's like that is the last thing I want to make someone else feel. Right? It's just not a good feeling. So
yeah, I like the point you just made before that too. Is for me too. Like as I grow older and my brain matures, the more knowledge and things I experience, the more, like you said, compassionate you become because you understand certain things. That's why it's weird to me when I was going through my spiritual transition from Christian to atheist. People are like, well, science doesn't have any morality. But actually, the more I educated myself and the more I learned and the more facts that I gathered, the more I felt like a love for people and things because I was like, no, wait, I'm beginning to understand my surrounding, and that made me feel more empowered and more compassionate. And so like that was like a big like tipping point for me. The more that people like told me, no, science has no morality, it's just like robots and like there's no feeling and soul in science. I'm like, no, there's so much art and beauty in science, and that helped me push me even faster in that transition.
Yeah, and I would love to have a conversation with you about that because there is a lot of there's a certain quantum physics.
Oh yeah,
I just read a book called what is it called? Hold on, let me get this.
Yeah. Dan, you read a book about quantum physics? That shit is hard, dude.
It's so this book isn't about quantum physics, but it talks about what quantum physics is and how our universe runs. And it's I think it's called How to Change the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Okay.
He like devoted his life to, he was like in a horrific accident and like broke so many like bones in his spine, and his doctors were like, you're not going to walk, you know? And he basically was like, yo, if I get through this, like I'm going to devote my life to this whole thing. And the book is about like being able to change your DNA through thoughts, being able to change basically everything and change your future and who you are as a person through your thoughts alone. And that ultimately draws towards quantum physics.
Yeah.
It's crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So yes, there is love, there is compassion, there's so much art in science.
Yes. Isn't that how Doctor Strange aren't you our Avengers guy? Isn't that what happens to Doctor Strange?
Yeah, let's check into the field with our expert.
Our Avengers field expert, Andy Dawson. Is that how Doctor Strange lived?
Well, Doctor Strange was a doctor.
Okay.
His real name is Stephen Strange.
Nice. I knew that.
Then he got in an accident and his hands were all jacked, so he couldn't do surgery anymore. So then he learned quantum realm.
Oh, so it is kind of
yeah. I mean, he goes into the quantum realm to fight Dormammu, but whatever. I mean,
Dormammu.
That's his name. Dormammu.
Yeah, that's such a cool name.
Right. So then he could fix himself if he wanted to, but he realized he had a bigger purpose.
Nice.
That movie, I was so into that stuff. Like at the deepest point in that movie came out, and I saw it in theaters, and I was like, I'd smoked beforehand too. So I was like, this is exactly what I need. Like, this is so great. The message was perfect. Like,
That's awesome.
like science, or not science, but like, the medical profession, the medical field cannot fix you, but what can fix you is your thoughts.
Yeah. Like, Doctor Strange is sneaky one of my favorite Marvel movies.
Is it?
Yeah, it's just a really good story. I think it's a really good story.
Do you like Tilda Swinton?
No.
You don't?
But I like Benedict. We've talked about him before.
Yes, we have. Episode
Pangwangs.
Benedict Cumberbatch. Is he? You guys thought he was handsome?
I mean, sure. He's better looking than I am.
Mm-hmm.
Is he though?
I don't know.
I don't know, man. I think he looks weirdy.
That's fine. That's each their own. Yeah, I don't know. And that's kind of like also we talked about too. Just you and I don't know if Dean's gotten around to, but you haven't even read it either. Never mind. How to Change Your Mind.
I mean, I've read half of it.
Yeah, that's cool. Let me know when you finish it.
A book by one of my favorite authors, Michael Pollan. He's done a lot of. Well, you might have come across some of his stuff. He did a lot of agriculture type stuff. Yeah,
he does a lot of food.
He's the guy that got me into industrial agriculture. I was going through my foray into that was I was trying to figure out how to be healthier and eat healthier food, and he was talking about like it's pretty hard these days because all the food that's produced is not good. Even if you eat of vegetables, it could be produced in weird ways. Yeah,
chemicals.
But his latest book was about the psychedelic renaissance and how we're getting back into researching that. And Dawson, he didn't read it.
Okay, so reading audiobooks, is that reading or not reading?
I say, see, that's a tough one because I only listen. So I say, I didn't read that book, but I listened to it.
Yeah.
It's the same content.
I'm just shitting on you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't know.
No.
And
I think it's brilliant.
And for me, I have a hard time just like focusing on a piece of paper for an hour.
Oh, yeah.
But I can listen to it because it's just
Same.
fascinating. Fascinating?
Fascinating.
I can't even speak, so I can't even read. He can't even read. But it's a really, really good book. You should check into it because it's not even a promotion around. You should all go out and drop LSD or you should go do mushrooms.
Right.
But it's just really just that to me. I had a really good conversation with one of my peers, and that was he also listened to it.
Okay.
And it's just his view on it. Really, and him and I kind of both developed the same idea of maybe there isn't a God per se, but that spirituality that some of these people experienced.
Yeah.
And just that next level, realizing like the whole Doctor Strange thing, there could be different dimensions. And when you go there and you actually take your brain out of it and just, it's just, maybe that is
Take
really
your ego out of it.
Yeah, you take your ego, you
Yeah.
completely diminish your ego, and then you realize that everything else is there. And it just, we kind of both talked like maybe that's really is the core of life. And it's kind of crazy that it comes from a mushroom that grows in random spots. And if you take it, you go on this ride, and all of a sudden now your views are different.
Yeah.
You don't take the mushroom takes you.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. And like that was
Magic
kind of
mushroom
us. It
ride.
was like maybe that's when, and even in the book, he talks to this very, very prominent atheist, and she's
Yeah.
like, oh, man, "Mushroom's God. Like that's what I experience. I see God when I take the mushroom." So I've never been there, so I can't speak for sure, but it sounds like damn, like they're using it for people with depression and.
That's what I'm excited about because there's more and more talk about mental health and
yeah.
things like that. And when you read the history portion of that book,
Yeah.
just to know that people were working on this, they thought this was going to be the next breakthrough drug in the 40s and leading into the 50s. And then all of a sudden this political, like socio-political battle happens. And like we do with all drugs, if you don't like the people that are taking it, then we're gonna make it illegal.
Exactly.
And now that we're bringing it back, and it's coming at a time where mental health awareness is happening at the same time, I think this is those two colliding. That juxtaposition. We're gonna have a breakthrough, and we're gonna figure more out about this drug.
Well, yeah, and like just like the example, the founder of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, that was his thing. He took LSD, and he's like, "Holy shit, that was their treatment for alcoholism.
Yeah.
Like, you take this, and you're not going to want to do alcohol anymore.
Even if
Do
you did-
alcohol.
like that's a great point. If you follow the history, just how many great ideas came from people taking
Well, then
how much great art.
I had this idea too, just of like, you think of the people in the world that are so stuck in their ways, whether it's racism, if it's you don't agree with someone's lifestyle, whatever it is. Imagine changing your entire mind. You take a drug, take a plant, whatever, and it changes your whole view on yourself.
Yeah.
Then you can understand like, holy cow, you're not the same color as me, but that's okay because that's not that's just your outside, not your inside. So I think to me like that is going to be a game changer when it can be widely distributed.
Dude.
So people can try it, and then it's like, holy shit, I was so wrong. I don't care that you're gay. I care that you. Like I just, you know, like I don't care that you're Chinese. Like, you know, but I care that you're Dean, and I think that's kind of a hippie idea, right? "Quote unquote" hippie, but that's they weren't killing people.
The hippies had it right all along.
The hippies weren't
Dude,
attacking people for being who they were. Just they loved everybody who they were.
Are you guys
So,
familiar with MK Ultra?
Yeah,
No.
Project MK Ultra.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's like CIA experiments with like LSD, right?
Yeah.
They're like trying to use it for mind control.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is now that we like know more about it, like
No.
that's such a backwards
Yeah.
thing.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the government. They spent a ton of money on it.
Yep.
Damn, it doesn't make. I never thought of that application to give
Yeah.
like a racist this mind opening tool.
Yeah, and
I got goosebumps when you brought that up.
it would
dude.
almost be like a sneak attack. Like, hey, you're kind of an asshole, and like you're out there burning torches in Charlottesville. And why don't you take a sample of this and tell me you can honestly, after this experience, you can go back and you can say that I don't like you because you're not from this country. Like, it's getting kind of political, but I just look at it as, come on, man.
Dude.
I know it's
that's
crazy.
woke.
It's
I think you might be the wokest dude.
you
in
haven't
the
said
room.
woke in a long time. And I've had people be like, man, I wish men wouldn't say woke so much.
Damn. People at work?
No, I mean just in
Man,
general.
fuck y'all then.
Hey, they're not woke enough to understand.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just one of my ideas, I guess.
I've always
Yeah.
Just really, really would like someone to just slip Trump some acid.
Dude, he needs it.
And see where he would go with that because he's so up his own ass, man. Like
Well,
he
there's
needs help.
There's a video that just came out of someone who he's a stand-up comedian now, I guess.
Yeah.
But he used to be on The Apprentice, and he's like, I signed a 25-year NDA. Well, I don't care anymore because I'm a comedian and I'm going to be on stage.
Yeah.
I can say whatever I want, and it's protected by the First Amendment. And he's like, he would do speed, he would do this, like just blasting everything Trump. And he's like, look how he's always sniffing. He's
like
always
snorts Adderall.
when he gets like aggressive. He's always sniffing. He's like, that's somebody who sees cocaine or they use. It's like obvious. I mean,
yeah.
I wish
you would use a better drug though.
Yeah, use like.
Dude, that application is so cool, man. Oh man, that has my gears turning.
That's kind of a crazy thought, but if it can fix people that are depressed, why can't it fix people that are fucked up and just think that they're better than somebody?
Well, here's the thing: those types of people, like I brought up my sister's husband again. You couldn't get him to take something like that.
Yeah.
He's too scared. He's afraid of spiders.
Mm-hmm.
He's not afraid of like some other shit like going hunting in the middle of the dark. But he won't take a drug. He'll drink all the alcohol he wants. He'll do all the shit that harms his body in other ways, but he won't take something that could potentially help his mindset. Yeah. And it's unfortunate because I think one of his last things that he commented on one of my Facebook posts that he always just summarizes my ideas as in a very
just minimal way.
He's like, oh, I understand. So eating meat makes you an asshole, and taking drugs makes you smarter. And I was like, yep, that's it. You got it. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, that's I'm not gonna lie. I used to kind of be in that mindset,
Same.
and then but I'm not gonna. Yeah, that's just your lifestyle. It's not my place to put anybody in a box and be like, that's you and that's you.
We all took DARE. So like we've
talked about this.
We were conditioned. We're classified as the same thing as psilocybin mushrooms are the same as meth or cocaine. But no, that's not true at all. Like that's what's great about this podcast and why we're talking about this is because we're in a great time when like mental health needs to be focused on, and they're putting more effort into like studying the psilocybin mushrooms and LSD. But like podcasts like this that talk about it only make it more normal.
Yeah.
Like we have to keep talking about it. And because if we don't, and that's what's great about the internet too, is we are all connected and we can share these ideas and they can't stop us. And that's why it's this big issue. People are trying to, well, how can we monitor? How can we control the internet?
Yeah.
They can't control us because we are the ones who are eventually going to decide the rules and the laws that are happening in America.
But also that's the thing that's bad about the internet is everyone's connected and reinforcing each other. So on the evil end, at first they're like, I kind of almost feel like they know they're assholes. They're like, am I the only asshole in town? But then all of a sudden you go into a forum, you go onto Reddit or whatever, and there's 10,000 other assholes. You're like, okay, this is cool.
Oh, yeah.
So it's hard, man.
It's tricky.
You do decide what you want to see, and Facebook populates the things that you like, and so you kind of stay in your own bubble with your own friends, and you kind of like feed off each other's bullshit.
Yeah, I hate that. Like if I have 700 friends, and I check into Facebook at what you laughing at?
I get it. Like I know where you're going.
Oh, okay. I thought you were making fun of the amount of friends that I like. Okay, I have more friends than that, but no. Like if I turn my Facebook app on at 1:00 and someone posts something at 1:01, show me that. Don't show me the same 10 friends over and over and over again. Facebook had that recent, like, this is your 2018, that little video that they make for you at the end of the year. And they like put pictures of like your top friends. 3 of those people in my video, I just recently I talked to them a lot on Messenger, and now all of a sudden they're my best friend. I'm like, no, let me see everybody's stuff.
Yeah, no, and I'm on the same page. I hate it's Tuesday and I get a post from the Vikings saying, "Hey, we have a game against the Seahawks on Monday night." No, it was last night. I get it. Like I don't need to see, just move on.
Exactly. So we're already an hour in. Wow. That's crazy.
No way.
That's nuts. Hey, can I take you guys to work with me so my work can go a lot faster?
Yeah, dude.
No
yeah, seriously.
You can if you listen to us on the podcast application.
Oh, there we go.
But I feel like we would miss out if we didn't. Man, you have touched Dean a lot today.
There's nothing wrong with that.
It's fine.
If we didn't get into your music,
sure. Oh,
we would be missing out.
Oh, that's right.
So when did you know you wanted to do that? When did you know you were artistic?
I don't know, man. I think I've always been. I just didn't know how to express it because my mom has footage of me, home movies on the VHS of me starting just doing stuff like this and singing. Yeah. Just really dumb songs that I made up. And I tried to get into band probably, I don't know, like middle school.
Yeah.
And the only instruments that were left, because you got to choose by the first letter of your last name. So obviously Weber
that's
is
not
at the
fair.
end. And yeah, it's not fair at all.
No.
And so I was like, oh, great. Well, what's left? Well, we have the tuba or the trombone. And I was like, well, can I do drums? And they're like, no, you need like 2 years of piano class to like do drums. I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But okay, so I did the trombone, and I hated it. You know, like bumping into a kid's knees on the bus every day, like smashing it around trying to carry it. So I eventually just like I didn't like it, so I didn't practice. So when we had like concerts and stuff, I would just pretend. I would just slide it back and forth and not do anything.
Which is like the hardest thing. Like at least like with the saxophone, I could just push random keys and it's tiny movements.
Yeah, no one will know, but yeah,
dude. And mind you, I was like 4'9" for like most of the first couple years of like middle school, high school, very small compared to everyone else. So it was kind of comical. But after that, kind of gave that up. And then my biggest thing was I started running in high school, and I became very good at that. And my senior year, I went to state. I was like all conference, and I had letters from colleges like racking up, and I hated school. I should tell you that I was an F student. What I realized about myself is I don't put focus on anything I don't give a shit about.
Yeah.
I was like busy drawing because I was very artistic and I loved making up stories and whatever. And so I spent a lot of this is one thing I want to talk about. I know I'm getting a little off track, but I spent a lot of my time thinking that I was dumb, that I wasn't smart because I couldn't comprehend things that other people could, my other friends, like algebra, chemistry, all the stuff. And my favorite quote that I discovered is like, if you judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree, it's going to believe it's stupid for its entire life. And that is so true for me.
Yeah.
And it does. It just, you start believing something and then it just affects your life.
Yeah.
So then after high school, they're like, oh, you're not going to go to college? And I was like, no, like I'm not doing that. Sorry, I hated it. If I could just do graphic design, sure, but I'm not going to take all of these other classes like math and stuff. So I couldn't pay for it either, so I didn't go to college. But I did, through running, cross country and all that stuff, I was in the paper a lot. I was in like the local paper, like my pictures, and I was doing a lot of, I wasn't winning races, but I was like doing pretty well too. And I was like became weirdly like narcissistically addicted to having myself in the paper. Like after every Saturday I'd run down and grab it and see if I was in there. And then that when high school was done, I was no longer running and I had no competition, and I was like, oh shit. Like, so then I went to my first concert at UW Stout. It was Quiet Drive, I think it was playing.
Dope.
Yeah. And everybody was like reaching for the lead singer, all the attention was on him, and he was just lighting up the whole place. And I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to be that guy because everyone's looking at him. So it's kind of like a transition of like, getting the attention from sports and then going into this musical side of things. And it wasn't that I was just trying to get the attention. I sincerely loved music. I just didn't know that there was rock music out there. I was like, oh, all you have to choose from is the instruments that like trumpet and all that stuff. So yeah, it was really exciting when I borrowed a bass from my friend and I learned like the first few lines from a Taking Back Sunday song.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, I have unlocked the secret. Like I thought it was like this big thing that was unattainable. Like these guys are legends, you know? But then when you like get a little bit of it and you realize that you have the capabilities of like being just like them, it's like off to the races. And I went full in, and I just.
Do you remember what TBS song it was? Do you remember what album it was?
It was All Our Secrets, They Are Still in Trouble. Twisted around your head. What is it called?
Liar.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah. At the beginning is so cool. But yeah, I think if I would have known the amount of effort that it takes to be an independent artist and the journey that I was going to endure, I never would have picked up that guitar. Yeah. And there's a sense of like, I think it's important to be ignorant in certain areas. Yes. Because you just go in thinking nothing but this is going to be fun. Yeah. And it's just sometimes you have to go in that way.
That also, man, there were so many thoughts I had during your story there. But the last thought that I had was, that's sort of what our parents protect us from. That's the conflict that you have. You're like, no, I want to do this. I want to do art. Like I had that conversation, especially because I have Korean parents. They're like, oh, you don't be an artist, be a doctor. I had that conversation, So it's just like, that's the only thing that they're protecting you from. It's not that they don't want you to pursue your passions. They're just afraid that, this, like you have this naive outlook on things and it's tough. They're not saying it's impossible. It's going to be really tough. Why don't you, they just want you to be able to find that stability quicker.
That's so true.
Mm-hmm.
You're absolutely right on that.
Yeah.
And it's true because, being an artist, there is a lot of failure. There is a considerable amount of failure, more than there, if I might say, more than other avenues.
Right.
Because there are jobs for it, but a lot of times it's like, if you want to be a freelancer, if you want to own your own business, now you're an entrepreneur that is an artist.
Yeah.
Like there's so many disadvantages that you have as an artist, not to mention the self-doubt. And a lot of times, people that are creative deal with depression and other issues mentally. Yeah. So it's a huge undertaking. But it's so rewarding.
Yeah.
And especially when it works out, and all of the hard work that you only have to thank yourself and the people that helped you get there once you do, rather than like getting a job at, Best Buy corporate and being like, oh, I have to thank my paycheck for getting me here. I don't know. You know what I mean?
How is Best Buy corporate?
Yeah, funny you should mention that exact company, because that's what I do.
Nuh-uh. Are you
Thanks,
serious?
Bo. Yeah.
I am so sorry,
Don't
man.
be sorry.
Because Mick and I gave up on our dream of being a punk rock band.
Yes, we did.
Little known fact, we used to be in a band called Quality Under Pressure.
Now
Really?
it's our podcast name.
No way.
Mhm.
Yeah, you guys are still rolling with it. So.
That's right. Still,
Now that I got my job, I get my paycheck at Best Buy Corporate.
I love that.
I was like, this guy knows me. He did research.
Or he was like, when you get your paycheck, I was like, I had my fingers crossed. I was like, please say Best Buy Corporate. Please say Best Buy Corporate.
I can't believe that. I can't believe that.
Dude.
Your message just went right into my brain.
Damn right. Damn right. I told him to say that
Thanks.
so he could take a shit on you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it, brother.
This whole podcast was set up to just you be the butt of the joke at the end.
Story of
Leading
my
up,
life.
I was just like, I'm gonna trick Dawson into doing a podcast with me. Episode 12. I'm gonna take a giant shit on him. Now it's here. I'm living my dream.
You're living the best life.
I'm sorry about that.
No, you're good, dude. That's totally fine.
Yeah. Also,
I chose
Dawson
that
had here. I'm gonna pump you up then. Dawson had this great idea of asking you to bring in your guitar so you could play a song for us.
Yeah.
Are you still willing to do that?
Yes, I am.
Cool. So we'll let you get that set up.
Okay.
But I did want to ask Dean, the trombone. That's a horrible instrument, isn't it? You're taking dumps on everybody.
Oh,
today.
now that we mention it, actually, Bo, I played the trombone all through high
Jeez,
school.
man, I am so sorry.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
I'm coming in here just disrespecting everybody.
So we've got Ashton Kutcher over here just punking us. Thanks, Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs, asshole, with your stupid turtleneck.
And my glasses.
And your glasses.
my dad jeans on.
Yeah, your dad jeans.
Did you watch the other Steve Jobs movie? The Michael Fassbender
Oh,
one?
yeah.
Yeah, it's the only one I've seen. I didn't see the Kutcher one.
Oh, did you see the Kutcher one?
Yeah. Of course I did. Steve Jobs
Did you
was
see
my
the
hero.
Fassbender one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you say Steve Jobs is your hero?
Yeah, he's such an asshole. He's my hero.
that's why he's your hero?
Yeah, he was not a nice
innovator.
person.
Yeah,
He was an innovator,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
LSD user.
Mm-hmm.
Did you...
I mean, that's what ended up killing him, really.
LSD?
No.
No, not LSD,
Oh.
but just his refusal of like Western medicine to.
Oh,
help with his
yeah.
He also
cancer,
ate,
yeah.
like, legit ate, I think it was just apples only for, like, 2 years.
Nuh-uh.
I'm pretty sure it was apple.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
He loved Apple that much.
Well, I mean,
That's insane.
it stemmed
Dude,
from it, but
yeah.
read his book. I'm pretty sure it was like a year or two. He only ate apples. He would jump in and out of college classes just because
What?
he dropped out of college, but he
Yeah.
would still go. He's like, well, this paper's not going to do me any good.
Mm.
I'm just going to listen
Damn.
in and take
Is that
ideas.
why you... Does your love of Steve Jobs precede your love of Apple?
Yeah, I mean, Apple's just a product. I think where they were going and the ideas they had
Mhm.
was really, really cool.
Yeah.
And the more I learned about Steve, like, he just kind of did what it needed to do.
Yeah.
But he also he had such an idea on where he wanted to go with everything.
Was he woke?
He was so woke. He didn't give a shit about anything. He just knew what he had to do.
Punk ass coworkers. Can't use that word anymore.
Was it
now,
a coworker? Well, it was a lot of people.
now I'm thinking about it.
Basically, everybody said don't use woke anymore.
Because it's a hip word.
So-
I'm too hip for
Fuck
them.
them. Fuck them. Just use it if you want.
Damn right,
Who cares? Yeah.
Yeah, please, just keep using it.
I'm more woke than they are. So, Bo, are you good to go?
Yeah. I was gonna wonder, could I borrow you?
I was
should
gonna
we
say,
mic
if
this?
once you're ready,
we
have
mic?
that mic in front of you, but then borrow Dean's mic for your guitar.
Oh, breaking people's spirits and equipment.
No, that's fixable.
Thanks, Army.
That's fixable.
So we'll get that set up. There was so much more I wanted to talk about.
yeah.
too,
I
but
know,
during that
dude.
story, I was just like, I gotta talk about this. I
Sorry.
gotta talk about this. No, don't be sorry. It's a good problem.
It is.
And I knew it was gonna happen. I also like at the end, I was thinking like I had this written down before we even came into the show. Like I wanted to talk to Bo about toxic masculinity because I feel like we have
Yes.
similar viewpoints on
yes.
that. We're just like, that's a gross thing that happens. But we'll just have to have you come on again, dude.
Yeah.
Are you good to go, Bo?
Very quickly.
Okay.
I just need to write this down.
Cool.
I have not played.
I gotta pee so bad. Should I go right now?
Yeah.
Dean's
Dude,
handing me his Gatorade
that's
bottle.
the Van dwelling way, man.
Yeah.
And the benefit of a podcast is you can,
Edit this out.
yeah.
We didn't even talk about
Y'all
the van
cool?
living.
Just go now because we'll probably talk about the song after.
Okay. I'll be back.
Okay. We're still going though.
Yeah.
So now that he's out of the room,
Yeah.
fuck that guy.
Damn it, I wish you wouldn't say woke so much.
Yeah. Just way too much wokeness.
Way too woke.
I wish he was asleep most of the time.
You see what Stephen Curry had to say about the moon landing the other week?
Yeah,
This
and,
week.
and we had a discussion at work about just kind of like influence, and like it's not his job to be a role model. 100%, it's your job to be a role model.
Of course,
Like
yeah.
you're gonna say anything. There could be 100 million kids are like, oh, he didn't think we went to the moon, and we didn't go to the moon.
Yeah, you have to be responsible about what you say, even if he says he was joking, but then maybe disclose that. Yeah.
Well, that's Kyrie Irving. He said the Earth was flat, and then a year later he's like, yeah, I was dumb and I fell down the rabbit hole of YouTube videos.
Yeah, and then he was saying how the whole point of it was to just like question things. But the thing is, like, to a certain extent, within reason, you can't question things that are scientifically proven without a doubt.
No doubt. But that's part of the flat Earth always theory. It's like, well, prove me wrong, and no, you prove me wrong.
Yeah,
You prove me. You show me a picture. You show me a picture of a flat Earth.
Dawson, we are so woke. Bo,
Sounds good.
yeah. Bo, are you familiar with Bo Jackson?
Oh yeah. So funny story about that. My mom actually sent him a letter and was like, "Hey, yeah, our son, I was probably like 1 or 2 at the time, is also named Bo, and blah 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 blah. I don't know what she wanted, but he sent us a bunch of autographed like 4x6 cards, and I got a T-shirt, a Bo Knows original T-shirt from the 80s.
Dude, that is so cool.
Yeah, it was like down to my ankles, and I wore it until it fit me regularly for 7-8 years.
I've never pushed a pee-pee so fast out of my pee-pee.
Wow. Impressive.
That was the most American thing I've ever heard you say.
Man, that is so woke.
Thank you, dude. You guys talk mad shit about me while I was gone?
Tons. That's all I did the whole time.
Edit it all out.
Nope. Did you know? Did you guys see the thing about the Mark Jackson basketball card with the Menendez brothers in it?
Mark Jackson, the former New York Knicks basketball
yeah.
player? No.
The Menendez brothers were in the. Anyways, sorry.
You good to go?
I'm ready to go.
All right.
I might mess up. If I do, we'll just start it over.
Cool. What is
It's
this
very
song
short.
called?
It's a very short song. It's the one that I know how to play out of the many that I just made mostly on my computer.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of electronic instruments on the other songs. So this one is more something that I can do for you guys.
Dope.
It's called In My Head.
Yep.
It's one of the songs off the record titled Wendy, which
Mm-hmm.
was in memory of my mom. This one, it's very much in line with the stages of grief of basically, in between anger and acceptance in a way. I guess kind of like putting the attention more inward than outward and saying what's going on with me, and I have to deal with what just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be cool to hear a song because we just talked about this. So it's going to be cool to hear the full story just through words and then to see how you encapsulated that through music.
I don't know what's wrong with me. It seems I'm bad company. I don't know what's wrong with me. I traded you for selfish things. In my head, in my head, in my head. I I just need a remedy to keep my mind from wandering, 'cause I can see you vividly. Cancer robbing you from everything. In my head, in my head, in my head. Who the hell am I supposed to be? I'm nothing like my family. I wasn't there when you needed me. Now all I got are memories. In my head, in my head, in my head. There it is.
Dude, that's dope. That's woke.
That's good. I like it.
Does that, you know, I hear a lot of musicians say like they can't play some certain songs live.
Uh-huh.
Are certain songs off that record hard for you?
So, as I said, the record was created in front of a computer, and I had an amount of so many different kinds of instruments that I had to choose from, right? Like there was synths, there was every sort of drum ever, and so I was just like yeah, use it all, and then I would just kind of like try to pull back and just more minimalize it after I've created it. A lot of those sounds I can't do, especially as a one-man person.
Yep.
And from being in a pop punk years, you know, kind of organizing practices and trying to hire like people to play with us, and it was just there's so much stress and there's so much irresponsibility with band members in general from what I've experienced that I didn't want to try and find band members again and deal with that all over again to help me play how it sounds on the record. Yeah. So, and then I just kind of like got into this like state of like, well, what do I do? Because I can't play these songs by myself. I don't want to have musicians to play with me. And that's the reason why I haven't done, you know, I haven't played or haven't performed for the last 5 years. Yeah. So I'm in a situation that I feel like I just have to now, my next record will be more minimalist, kind of like a Milky Chance, like a backbeat, and then just more like acoustic or like a Strat kind of thing. Yep. Here, I'll give you your mic back.
Also, yeah, I think band members are the worst.
Yeah, band members, especially the drummer/singer.
No, the bass player. Who needs a bass?
Hey, Lifeblood, baby.
I should say it real quick just to sum up that song, because I think a lot of people, if I heard that song, you know, 5-6 years ago, I'd be like, oh, wow, you're sad. You know, like, get over it. Yeah. Like, what's going on? Like, life's great. Why are you, you know? Yeah. But if you have a context to the song, or if you don't have context to the song and you're listening to it and it resonates with you, which is what music does to a lot of people. Yeah. It's a great thing, because there are people who there are very few songs that I've heard that talk about death. Yeah. And I mean, like, I think it's important to talk about, because when you lose a loved one, you all of a sudden belong to this club that nobody wants to be in. Right. And I figured, like, while I'm here in this club, I may as well do something good, which is express my emotions. And that's the way that I've been able to heal, is through the writing of this record. Yeah. Like, I healed myself through talking about and being vulnerable with my feelings. Yeah. Because I was holding everything back and it wasn't helping me. It was actually hurting me. So I think through me being vulnerable, other people will see that it's okay for them to be vulnerable, whether in any walk of their life. Mm-hmm. And within that, a lot of people also don't have a voice. They don't know how to express their feelings inside of them. And so that's why songs are so important, that if someone reads or listens to a song, they say, that is exactly how I feel, and I just didn't know how to get it out. Yeah. So people that don't have that outlet, that's what music is for. That's great. And I think it can only make people feel better eventually. Like, this song might make someone feel shitty and remind them of the time when their dad was dealing with, you know, cancer. Yeah. But it's ultimately, art is about expressing, and you just can't go wrong.
No, I mean, that the song was great. I love how you did, because I went to your album release party too, and that whole event was great too, and the speeches that you gave there and how much emotion you showed when you were giving those speeches at that album release party. I think you did that whole album cycle very well.
Thanks, man. I'm glad you were there.
Yeah.
I wish I would have been able to spend more time with you.
No, I knew how busy you were, but you had a question too, Dawson.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
yes.
no, I was just going to say, listening to you really reminded me of this guy. He's local. His name's Michael Shines. Familiar with him at all?
No, I got to write him down.
So he's very, he's all on his own, right? And he's from like the St. Cloud area.
Mm-hmm.
And I've listened, his albums are great. He's got 3 or 4 albums.
Yeah.
And he went through this process. It's banana. It's crazy to think that he recorded an audio track for Sony. I think it was for Sony.
Wow.
And they took that and they sent it overseas to Finland, Poland, and they mixed it together with his DJ. And now he's got a platinum record.
What?
No one in Minnesota like it's one song, right? But nobody here really knows him. I saw him in front like with 200 people, and they took his music and his art, and he's got a platinum record on his wall now for the song, and it's just crazy that nobody's ever heard of him. So I'm just like,
wow,
guys like that out there, and he's very similar sound, right? So it's just like there's people around in the community that just don't ever stop.
Dude, that's a great story.
I'm trying to get him on the show.
Dope. Let's do it.
I'm trying to hit him up
cool.
on Twitter, and it's gonna be tough, but
yeah,
he knows all the guys at KFan.
Oh, really?
He's really good friends with hockey, so maybe you can hook it up. But
all right, I'll talk to some people too then.
there you go. So
cool.
Anyways, that's all I've got.
Bo, if people want to find your music, where can they find your music?
They can find my music on boweber.com. They can go to Bandcamp. They can, that's basically where I would check it out.
Cool.
I really want to. Lately, I've spent a lot of my time focusing on my career and trying to make a financially free future for myself.
Yeah.
However, I've realized that there is something lacking, and that is definitely music. I released the Wendy record Mother's Day of 2017, so we're coming up on 2 years of not being musically active.
Yep.
So I'm going to make it a point this coming year that I've got to get back on it, because everybody has to create something.
Yeah, I love that. Dawson, where can people find Quality Under Pressure?
All your favorite social media sites. You've got Quality Under Pressure podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and then QUP podcast on Twitter.
And our email?
Quality Under Pressure podcast @gmail.com. I think.
I don't know.
Just email everything that sounds like that until you get to us. You'll get there.
We'll let you know if we get it.